Music, the universal language that every culture and society can understand each other through, at least in one form of artwork. So, with that said, today looking at, interestingly, games that both I love the music as well as the gameplay. With that said, this is part one of a two-part special top 50 favorite Sega games of all time. Now, these aren't just exclusively only to Sega. This is just games that I hold very special, specifically Sega ports. So with that said, first we are going 50 to 26. And the music of choice today, Sonic the Hedgehog. So with that said, coming in first at number 50, was originally released on the Sega Master System, and that is the classic from the arcades beat 'em up, Double Dragon. Personal favorite of mine, my personal favorite, probably older port I would say to home console, was on the Master System. I think it was better and superior to many of the ports that you got on the original NES. Coming in at 49 was released by Capcom, and for many years, and still to this day physically remains exclusive to the Saturn. Coming in at number 49 is Cyberbots Full Metal Madness, an all-time classic, definitely robot beat 'em up, and of course the game that Jin came from in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Also coming in at 48 was also released on the Sega Saturn. It is a great Capcom classic 2D fighter game. Coming at 48 is Marvel Superheroes, where the main, of course, baddie was Thanos. Way before the MCU existed and everything. With that said, coming in next at 47 is another game that I remember best specifically on the Sega Master System. It's a true Sega and arcade classic. Coming in at 47 is Space Harrier, a true all-time classic of the arcades. Coming in at 46 was released for only the Sega Saturn, is a true classic and great. Coming at 46 is the, of course, very beloved Virtual Fighter Remix. Coming in next at 45 was released on the Sega Dreamcast. It is definitely one of the best of that era of 3D style fighting games. Coming at 45 is Virtual Fighter 3. Coming next at 44, released for the Sega Game Gear specifically, and that is the original classic Echo the Dolphin, which is definitely the first and easily, probably to this day, just about my favorite Game Gear game, and always will be one of my personal favorites. Coming in at number 43 was released exclusively on, of course, the Sega Genesis. This is a 2D fighting game that still holds a very special place for me personally. Coming in at number 43 is Eternal Champions, a true criminally overlooked 2D fighter that deserves a lot more credit, and they even have their own versions or equivalent to like finishers, or rather fatalities. Interestingly enough, a very bizarre final boss. Coming in at 42, released on the Sega Dreamcast. Very good memories, and this would remain to my day being my personal favorite of the King of Fighters series. Coming at 42, King of Fighters 2000 for the Dreamcast. Coming in next at 41, released for the Sega Game Gear. It is probably the best Sonic game on the Game Gear in my opinion. Coming in at 41 is Sonic the Hedgehog Chaos. If you've never played it on the Game Gear, it is an actual classic. I think more people should try of old school Sonic games. Coming next at number 40, released for the Sega Genesis. Of course, many people's personal favorite, as it had the blood code and everything. Coming in at 40 is the original classic Mortal Kombat 1. Coming in next at number 39, released for the Sega Dreamcast. Easily one of the really three specific racing games I personally really love to this day, and that is Hydro Thunder, made by Midway. Coming in at 38 is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated game. For instance, specifically of games, one of the most underrated soundtracks of all time. But overall, it's a game originally released, and the original version remains exclusive to this day of the Saturn, though you would have a sort of remaster for the Wii. But coming at 38 is Nights in the Dreams, made by, of course, the original creators of Sonic, and will later create a somewhat not very well received game, of course. With that said, coming at 37, made by Capcom, easily the best port of the game, in my opinion, is on the Saturn. At 37 is X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Coming in next for the Sega Dreamcast, it remains one of the basically big headliner games to this day, as it was revolutionary when it came out at the time period around like 2000, 99 to 2000 timeframe. It would be one of the launch titles in North America. And of course, that is the beloved and great for the horrible, bad English dubbing and everything. I still love it for what it is. Coming in 36 is Shamu. Coming in at 35 is one of the true, I think, best old school flight arcade games that you could play, and I think the best version was on the Master System. Coming in at 35 is Afterburner. If you never play Afterburner, check it out. Seriously, it is a true all-time classic chip fighter. Coming in at 34, released for the Dreamcast. It would be released for other consoles, but in my opinion, the Dreamcast got the definitive version of the game, released in the early 2000s, a all-time classic, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Coming in at 33, released for the Sega Genesis, is one of the best 2D RPGs of the 90s, arguably, at least in my opinion. Coming at 33 is Phantasy Star 2. Coming in next at number 32, released for the Sega Dreamcast, it is the superior and best port of Mortal Kombat 4, but better well known as Mortal Kombat Gold. At 32, guilty pleasure of mine. I still love the game to this day. Coming in next at number 31, released for the Sega Saturn, and that is definitely one of the best on-rail shooter games of the time. Coming at 31 is Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei. Coming in at 30 is one of my original awesome games I played on the Sega Game Gear. Truly one of the best games on the Game Gear in my opinion, and a fun one, as long as you like puzzle games. Coming at 30 is Columns. Coming in at 29 for the Sega Genesis, it is not necessarily the best overall port of the game, but it is still a solid and great port. It is getting kind of crazy in price nowadays, so I wouldn't recommend really getting this version unless you are a hardcore Sega fan. Coming at 29 is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Coming in at 28, you hear the music from in the background. At 28 is none other than the original classic Sonic the Hedgehog. Comes in at 28. Coming in at 27, a great game, is a gorgeous looking 2D game powerhouse on the Saturn. Coming in at number 27 is Vampire Hunter, also known as Night Warriors Darkstalker's Revenge, but I know it best as Vampire Hunter. Coming in at 26 for the Sega Dreamcast, specifically, that is Street Fighter 03, or better well known in the West as Street Fighter Alpha 3, comes in at 26. So with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Stay safe and leave a comment. Tell me what are, in your opinion, are some of the absolute best Sega games of all time. With that said, I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe and hopefully enjoyed this little trip down memory lane for me and my love of Sega, and also the Sonic music in the background. And with that said, I'll see you all soon enough.